Well, good morning, everybody, and TGIF. We almost didn't have a show this morning because I had an alert on my phone. I have a feeling my friend Mel, south of me, probably got something similar. There was a tornado in Okmulgee, Oklahoma, which is about 20 minutes south of us. But anyway, OJ was under the bed. And we got through it. The lights were blinking a little bit, and I'm like, I don't know. Then it passed through, and we're good. So how is everybody? This story I cannot keep my eyes off of. My ears are always tuned in. At first, I thought they're going to find that dude out there unalived somewhere, as they say. They have no. Heat-seeking drones. They have cadaver dogs, scent dogs, in case he's still alive. And he would not have gone through. Are you okay over there, OJ? If he was found by them, that might make sense to a delusional person. Him making this plan and being gone tells me he's a little bit saner than what they keep saying. Let's take a second and tell everyone good morning and happy it's Friday. So glad you guys are here. My goodness. Woo. One thing after another. All right, we're going to start with this. Shonda said that dude is in Canada living off the grid. That's what a lot of people are saying. It seems to me, considering where they closed down the roads about an hour ago, they must have an inkling as to where he is. It seems like they're circling him off, but I wouldn't be shocked either way. What is shocking, and I am not victim blaming, I am not saying she's doing anything wrong, is the way that Whitney isn't ready to hold Travis accountable at all. She's saying the police are at fault. I got a news article sent to me yesterday by Sparrow, and my face fell off. I'm like, whoa, okay. It's the police's fault. The system failed. I get all the above, check all the boxes. But he's got to have some accountability. Let's look at this.
A major development overnight in the search for the Washington father accused of killing his 3 young girls. Now his ex-wife is speaking out. Here's ABC's Johnny Fernandez.
Overnight, investigators tracking new leads in the search for the father accused of murdering his 3 young daughters near a Washington state campground. Authorities now say Travis Decker, known to have wilderness survivor skills, may be traveling along the Pacific Crest Trail. One area now closed to visitors as police urge residents to keep their doors and windows locked. Decker's daughters, Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia, just 9, 8, and 5 years old, were supposed to return home last week from a court-approved visit with their father. But
think about that. They're telling people, keep your doors and windows locked. This guy is desperate. He is a killer. And he is a survivalist. Jay said PTSD was mentioned. Yes, it was more than once. Nufflin said, do you have a holiday on Monday in the U.S. too? No, we don't. What's our next holiday? Our next will be a Father's Day next weekend, and then we have 4th of July next month. Nope. No party for me.
But on Monday, their bodies were found in a wooded area in Leavenworth. Police say it appears they were suffocated.
Travis was never violent with the girls. He had some mental health issues.
Decker's ex-wife, through her attorney, now speaking out, saying Decker struggled with PTSD after serving in Afghanistan and had reached out to the VA for help.
She feels like the system really let Travis down. She still to this day has a lot of love and empathy for Travis and who he is in his core, because he was a very loving man, but something broke, and whatever monster came out of him, it's something that he was trained to do in the military, and our government really should provide those resources.
Decker's ex-wife is also pushing for changes to the Amber Alert system.
That's a lot. She had a lot to say. Let me go through this article from the Daily Mail. A mother whose 3 daughters were allegedly suffocated by their father has broken her silence as her commando ex-husband remains on the run. Whitney says she knew her daughters Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia were in substantial danger when Travis Decker failed to return them after his visitation last Friday, a week ago today. She said, through her lawyer, she begged police to issue an Amber Alert, but was told the case did not meet the requirements. They explained yesterday why they didn't. It sat well with some people. Some people said, nah, that's called being lazy. The girls' bodies were found at a campsite in Leavenworth, 20 miles from their Washington State home on Monday. Their wrists had been bound with zip ties, and each of them had been suffocated with a plastic bag. Travis, an Afghanistan veteran, is wanted on suspicion of their murder. He reportedly suffers from complex PTSD and other mental health issues. Okay, so let's talk about that because one of his squad members has spoken out.
Our coverage continues now with Fox 13's Alejandra Guzman. Everyone is anxiously trying to learn more about Travis Decker.
Yeah, so Ali, you've been in contact with somebody who was in the same Army platoon as Travis Decker. So what are they telling you? Well, they're sharing quite.
Hold on. I don't know what happened. Okay, how weird. That's what happens when you do live shows. You don't get a chance to edit and make it right.
Alejandra Guzman, everyone is anxiously trying to learn more about Travis Decker.
Yeah, so Ali, you've been in contact with somebody who was in the same Army platoon as Travis Decker. So what are they telling you? Well, they're sharing quite a bit. I can tell you that there's more clarity now as to who he is, his personality these last few years, and some of his recent behavior following this tragedy. Now, the individual who I've been speaking with does want to remain anonymous, but they did share these images of Decker back from 2017 after they were finishing a march in Europe. The two were in the same squad, in the same platoon, in the same company, while they were stationed together in the 503rd Airborne Brigade combat team with the 173rd Airborne in Italy. They tell me Decker was kicked out of Ranger Regiment for failing Ranger School. Now, many of you have been questioning whether or not he was a Ranger. We've all seen some of the same photos of Decker in his uniform with a Ranger patch, but
okay, so he was in Ranger School. He didn't make it through it. Well, I'm not going to fret anybody for that because I couldn't imagine making it through that school. I could not imagine.
According to my source, he wasn't, because after getting kicked out, that's when Decker was transferred to their platoon. And that's where they shared a little bit more about who he was, just saying that he was a fit but quiet guy, sort of an outcast, yet a hard worker and a bit of a narcissist. They tell me by this time, Decker and Whitney already had their firstborn, Peyton. Decker eventually did warm up to his comrades, sharing that he aspired to be like his father and talked about getting back to special forces, but they say he never did. They say it was like Decker had some big shoes to fill. From what they know, his father was a Green Beret and he worshipped him.
Again, no excuse, but we're getting more into the mindset. Okay. He couldn't get through Ranger school. His dad was a Green Beret he worshipped. Well, his dad is cooperating with all the dudes, Homeland Security, FBI behavioral science, Border Patrol, local sheriffs, you name it, to find his son. Good morning, Zach Walker. So, braggadocious, narcissistic, big shoes to fill, wanted to impress his dad. Has anybody found an excuse yet? I have not.
Already had their firstborn, Peyton. Decker eventually did warm up to his comrades, sharing that he aspired to be like his father and talked about getting back to special forces, but they say he never did. They say it was like Decker had some big shoes to fill. From what they know, his father was a Green Beret and he worshipped him. They did remain friends on social media, but they say that after these murder and kidnapping accusations, Decker actually deleted all of his videos and pictures and started unfollowing the majority of those who were in his company. Now, again, the loss of Peyton, Olivia, and Evelyn are hitting his teammates hard. They say that everyone who served with Decker is feeling betrayed and are distraught to learn of what has happened. That's the latest. Back to you.
They're feeling betrayed and extremely upset by what he's done. Wow. You know, I'm glad they're speaking out. All right, here's another latest update.
Is intensifying for a father accused of killing his 3 daughters in Chelan County. Detectives releasing new Ring camera video and photos of Travis Decker. As KOMO's Theron Zahn reports, authorities hope that will increase the chance of a sighting that will lead to his capture.
Finding Decker in the wilderness of central Washington will not be an easy job, but
obviously it's not, because it's been since last Friday. What time exactly? I don't know. Now, Susan has an amazing point. We're seeing 2 different Travis Deckers. The one she is saying that the system has failed, and the one that his comrades in the military are saying, no, the dude was jacked up in the beginning. We all feel betrayed. We can't believe, he would do something like this. He's a narcissist. He was pissed he couldn't get through Ranger school. He worshipped his dad, who was a Green Beret. And Whitney is not ready to give him 100% accountability for what has happened to her family. On one hand, I believe it's, of course, grief, love. She had 3 children with the man. And on some realm, because she is a woman, she is emotional, or I'll just say right now, she's a human being. She probably feels some guilt. But the fact is, there's nothing she could do that she didn't already try. So she shouldn't feel guilty.
hundreds of volunteers say they're not going to stop until they get justice for his 3 girls he's accused of killing. New Ring video shows what investigators say is the last record of Travis Decker before his 3 young daughters were killed. Police are also giving out these new pictures of him. They want the public to get a good look, so if they spot him, they can call 911. In the air and on the ground, the search continues in the vast wilderness of Chelan County, looking for any trace of the military veteran who has extensive experience in living off the grid, even attending mountain survival school.
He could have scoped out this area before, put supplies out there, and has the ability and the knowledge to survive.
While the search goes on, tributes for his, we're told Decker's parents are cooperating with the investigation.
This is their son, so of course that they have concerns about his safety, but overall they understand that he does have to be brought in and he has to be held accountable for his actions.
It's not known if he is in fact in the wilderness right now, but given his survival skills, that is where the strongest assumption is. But again, the call is going out nationwide to be on the lookout for Decker. Reporting in Seattle, Theron Zahn, KOMO News.
Today could be a critical day in the investigation. The victim's autopsy results will come out. That should give deputies a much better understanding of when the girls died and how much of a head start Decker could have. We've posted all of those photos of Decker
And they still haven't said time of death. It seems to me that the sheriff's department wants him alive. They want him kept safe so they can prosecute the F out of him. U.S. Marshals don't work that way. What they do, they're the wanted dead or alive tribe. Blackwing Paranormal, member for 25 months. Thank you so much, sister.
and that new Ring video on KOMOnews.com. In Wenatchee, a memorial for the Decker girls grows by the day. People visiting and reflecting on the tragic and sudden passing of those 3 sisters. The town is still in shock about what's happened this week.
I was legit hoping that they come home safe. When I found out they no longer here, it's hard. It hurts me. It hurts almost the whole family out in this community.
The community is doing what it can now to help support the victim's family. Several local businesses are collecting money and donations in honor of those 3 girls. An online fundraiser has already raised more than $500,000.
I'm sure by today it's up to a cool meal. I have a feeling. I haven't looked, but I am very, not perplexed, curious, trying to, figure out what the authorities are thinking, because they're closing down several roads in a certain area. Looks to me like they have almost like a military style targeting going on to find him.
We're near the entrance to the Enchantments, which is just a few miles up this road. This is where authorities believe Travis Decker could be hiding. They haven't said specifically if he's been seen in this area, but this is part of where crews are narrowing in their search. It's one of the most serene and peaceful places in all of Washington.
Yesterday evening, I drove up to see the sunset, and we drove all the way up, no road closures.
The Enchantments are now intertwined with a dangerous manhunt.
Then I drove up this evening, and the road was obviously blocked off.
Authorities are searching for 32-year-old Travis Decker. He's accused of killing his 3 young daughters.
You can't stop halfway.
Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia found dead near Leavenworth Monday.
Whitney is living every parent's worst nightmare. The hole in her heart is immeasurable.
Decker hasn't been seen in days as the sun now sets on the 4th day of this search. Fear is growing.
It's so out of the ordinary, especially just knowing that this guy, the suspected killer, lived in the same area that I grew up in.
Legal experts say this shouldn't have happened.
There were
That's a great, great question, and one I have been asking myself over and over and over since this hit the other day. What could the motive be? Are we supposed to just believe that he's just a lunatic? Or is there something more behind it? Any of the above doesn't excuse what he did to these babies. I mean, look at them. Look at these beautiful little girls. I mean, what's it going to take to shed a tear from anyone to say, Oh, yeah, I get it. I can kind of see it. No, and there will be those people, okay? And this is a beautiful, beautiful family. And I can only imagine what this poor woman is going through and the hell she's been through leading up to it. This is not an overnight thing. There's tons of court documents where they went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth about him getting help. She was protecting her daughters. Some people say that's what triggered him. If he really has this narcissistic complex, being told no by her in the courts, he could have in his mind, I'll show them. I don't know.
Number of red flags.
Decker, a veteran, had documented mental health issues, and yet Professor Deirdre Bowen says the system left the children vulnerable. She points to court records that show the girl's mother raised concerns during a parenting plan modification last fall.
Clearly, these 3 children should not be sleeping on a mattress in an armory of what appeared to be a men's homeless shelter.
A dark cloud now hangs over.
You think? You think? Why did somebody right then and there not call and be like, no, these 3 little girls can't be around all these people? Germs? Sex predators? You don't know what they're in the homeless shelter for. Not everybody there is between jobs. That's not how it works.
For these mountains, but locals say the light here will shine again.
Hopefully, they obviously find the person that did all of this. I hope it doesn't affect what everyone's perceives this as, because it is a very beautiful place.
Authorities say if you see Decker, do not approach him. Call 911. There is now a $20,000 reward for any information that leads to his arrest. In Leavenworth, Bridget Chavez, King 5 News.
None of this should have ever happened. We go back to, okay, obviously the start of it is he's a little off his rocker, okay? Maybe something happened in Afghanistan. Maybe something triggered him when he didn't get into the Rangers. I don't know. But as she's going through, meaning Whitney, through the court system, saying, here's all my safety concerns for my children, for her, something more should have been done to protect the kids. Because when you say, we're going to lighten up on these supervised visits, because for quite a while, he had nothing but supervised visits. Everything was going good. Everything was going good. And then last Friday, he's supposed to pick up the girls for a few hours. He definitely picked them up, but we know what happened. It's just absolutely horrible.
Right now, a manhunt is underway across central Washington for this man. He is the father of 3 young girls who were found dead near Leavenworth. The sisters were first reported missing from Wenatchee on Friday after their father, 32-year-old Travis Decker, did not bring them home from a scheduled visitation. Police say that he was spotted driving north out of the city that evening. His truck was found yesterday afternoon near Rock Island Campground. Investigators say the girls' bodies were found in the same area. Joining us now is King 5 law enforcement analyst, former King County Sheriff John Urquhart. This kind of story is not something that we cover very often. Where do they even start with this investigation?
Well, thankfully, we don't have to cover it very often. Yeah. What they do now is they're trying to find where this guy is. That's the main thing. They've got charges against him, not only murder charges, but the original custodial interference. Where is he? That's what everybody wants to know, and especially the police.
Were you surprised at what we just learned and shared with our audience, that the mom had never expressed concerns about the safety of the girls with their dad?
I was a little bit surprised about that, to have gone from she wasn't afraid for them to this ending is really surprising.
And I don't really like how Whitney's getting flack for that. Do you really think she's going to come out and say, Oh, yeah, I knew he was going to kill him, but I let him go anyway. Of course, she didn't think that Travis, her husband, their father, would do something this horrific. Of course she didn't. I don't know why people are surprised by that. I don't know why people are surprised. Of course she didn't know.
That the mom had never expressed concerns about the safety of the girls with their dad.
I was a little bit surprised about that, to have gone from she wasn't afraid for them to this ending is really surprising.
Concerned that he reportedly maybe wasn't didn't have a home, was living out of his car or campgrounds, etc., but never expressing concerns that he might actually harm them. So this suspect is 32 years old. He is former military. He is trained. What do you expect is happening as they are out searching for him?
Well, they're out searching for him, certainly in the immediate area. They have his truck, so they don't think presumably they don't think he has any means of transportation. So did he commit suicide someplace nearby? Is he holed up in the woods waiting for something to happen? Who knows? But they've got a lot of people out there. They've got a lot of resources out there, including the federal government, federal helicopter, SWAT team. They'll find him here before too long, would be my guess.
I was just going to ask you, how long do you think it might take? Because, I mean, it is a broad area, but he isn't in his truck. So how long do you think something like this would take? And what do you expect they'll find?
Presumably he's on foot, so who knows how long it's going to take. He could be holed up in the woods somewhere, and it could be a while. But I would be surprised if he got too far away.
You were in law enforcement for a very long time. A case like this has to be excruciatingly difficult for law enforcement.
Well, it's difficult for law enforcement. Yeah, we're all parents. Really what it boils down to. We're, almost all of us have kids. I have 2 daughters. This is just absolutely unthinkable. And it doesn't matter.
It is absolutely unthinkable. Now, there are rumors going around. I can't verify the screenshots from Travis and Whitney. I'll just say a friend of Travis's. Some people say he was a neighbor that saw physical violence between Travis and Whitney. Now, I don't know who this dude is. I can't make the connection, and I really don't want to run with it for many reasons. For one, Whitney may not want more pain put on her by that coming out. And again, we get to the guilt factor. You know that she's feeling some kind of guilt. So I don't think it's proper to put more, on her plate. Kimberly Mann is gifting Crime Lines and Lies memberships. Let's grab our umbrellas, please. I'm loving it. And okay, right here, Alicia P said, I don't believe that guy, Brooks. Well, like I said, I didn't put it on the show because I was like, who is this dude? And why does he want to talk to Ickamel? Okay? Too many things in his story have a lot of holes. So I was just like, yeah, this doesn't seem real. Susan said, now why would she lie about that? She wouldn't. Yeah. You want to tell something like that? You tell it to the news. You tell it to the FBI. We've heard from the sheriff over and over and over what all they're going through to try to find him. But you want to tell Ickamel? Okay. I call bullshit on that one.
Enforcement.
Well, it's difficult for law enforcement. Yeah, we're all parents. Really what it boils down to. We're, almost all of us have kids. I have 2 daughters. This is just absolutely unthinkable. And it doesn't matter whether you're in law enforcement or not. It's still a huge tragedy. It's just unthinkable.
And, we've learned more details that they found zip ties and the girls were found asphyxiated and bags. And you wonder, how is it possible that anyone could do such a thing to their own children?
You can't, as normal feeling human beings, we try to understand. And sometimes there's nothing to understand because we can't. Someone is mentally ill, maybe they're just evil, and we can't make any sense of it. We shouldn't really try to make sense of it. It's just one of those things that happens. We try to stop it, we try to prevent it before it happens. We just weren't successful in this case.
I mean, everyone, I'm sure, their hearts are just going out to the mom, the family involved, the community in Wenatchee. Another night where they're going to have a vigil for these girls. What happens with law enforcement and how they're handled on a case like this and making sure they get the care they need after something so horrible?
The number one priority at this point is to find this guy. That's what everybody's thinking about. That's what they're focused in on. And they'll worry about their own mental health. And that's really what we're talking about once this guy is either found or is in custody. And that's really what it boils down to now, is finding this guy. And everybody, I guarantee you, everybody working on this case is focused on that.
And you think that will be sooner rather than later?
I think it'll be sooner rather than later, what I know, at least so far.
Sheriff Urquhart, we always appreciate your assessment and your years of experience in a situation like this. Unfortunately, have to have you come in on a day like this, but thank you always for your...
Yeah, thank you, former sheriff. Bingo to Callie that said premeditated, planned. Of course, because, well, they can't find him. They cannot find him, and it's not like they're not looking. Jay said the mother is trying to protect her daughters. Yes, and at this point, all she can do is protect their legacy. She probably does not want her daughters to always be known as the girls that were zip-tied by their crazy dad and asphyxiated. And I don't blame her. This is her life, and it's always going to be her life. It's never going to go away. Never going to go away. Even if she finds Prince Charming and has another child, this is still her life. It's not going to go away. If they find him and they bring him to court, the whole 9 yards, they parade him in front of the whole country, saying, oh, we found him, look. Like they have a prize deer or something, a 10-pointer. She'll have to testify against him. She'll have to give a victim's impact statement. You name it, one thing after another. This is not going to go away. I just keep thinking that the marshals are going to find him and it's going to be some like suicide by cop type of thing. But some family friends spoke out yesterday, and I'm just glad that people are really not judging Whitney. Some will, because they're miserable fucking people. Okay? You have to admit, we have some miserable ass people on this planet, and especially planet internet. Okay? They will pick apart anything instead of saying, well, I'll just say having some empathy.
I'm Amy Edwards, and this is Mark Belton, and we are both friends of Whitney Decker and the Decker family.
To our community, the Wenatchee Valley, thank you. The outpouring of love, generosity, and support has been overwhelming, not only here in the Wenatchee Valley, but from the communities around the world. We are deeply moved and profoundly grateful. Seeing everyone come together and unite in support of this family has been humbling and reminds us of what makes the Wenatchee Valley so special. That compassion has been a source of light in this dark hour.
This valley helped nurture the creativity, confidence, and joy that Peyton and Evelyn and Olivia shined so brightly. Whether it was performing on stage with Short Shakespeareans and Music Theater of Wenatchee, dancing with the Fabulous Feet Dance Studio, playing sports, or walking the halls of Lincoln Elementary, their laughter, curiosity, and spirit left a mark on all of us. They were the kind of children that everyone rooted for, looked forward to seeing, and held close in their hearts. They are cherished, not just by the family, but by our entire community who watched them grow, perform, learn, and love. We ache, with the love we still carry for them, and we always will.
Whitney is living every parent's worst nightmare. The hole in her heart is immeasurable. There are no words that
Holes in her heart. 3 babies. And yes, some people don't understand, what I'm saying, where I'm coming from. And another hole in her heart is for her husband. At one point, she loved the man. She loved him enough to support his overseas tours, have 3 beautiful babies with him, and then watch everything around her crumble. She lost everything. Everything.
can capture the weight of this loss. Right now, she's surrounded by friends, family, and neighbors doing everything they can to hold her up.
To the media, we ask for grace at this time. Whitney is grieving the unimaginable. Should she not have to do so under a spotlight? Please allow her the space and privacy and compassion that she deserves. Your restraint is a true act of humanity, and we appreciate it. We are focused on fully cooperating with investigators so that Travis Decker is found, apprehended, and brought to justice. This case is ongoing, and all legal updates will come from law enforcement.
The generosity we've seen from right here in the Wenatchee Valley and nationwide has not only brought comfort during this heartbreaking time, it also sparked some important conversations. We're talking about how we raise awareness and advocate for improvements to the Amber Alert system, and how we address and expand access to mental health resources for veterans, especially in the context of family and custody cases. While nothing can undo this tragedy, we're hopeful that these conversations will lead to change that honor Peyton, Olivia, and Evelyn's memory.
We end with a message shared by mothers all across the world. When one mother cries, we all cry and hold her in our heart. Thank you for holding Whitney in your hearts now.
And get off her ass. This is hard to wrap our minds around, but it takes a senseless, horrific tragedy to make changes. Not just for the politicians, because let's face it, they don't give a fuck about nobody, but for society to wake up and go, well, this can't happen again. Well, we can't let this happen. And as citizens, not servants, citizens, everyone in here is a citizen, we start raising hell.
Thank you.
Is there anything that people watching can help in any way?
So there is a group, and we ask that they look that up on Facebook, where they can see ways that they can support this movement. And we'll take no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Well, isn't he proper? I will take no further questions. Thank you. Even Chris Cuomo's nicer than that. Hell, even Trump's nicer than that. I'll take no further questions. Thank you. Woo!
If you are just tuning in, you just saw a press conference with Amy Edwards and Mark Belton. They are good friends of Whitney Decker and the Decker family, describing Whitney going through, quote, living every parent's worst nightmare right now with the death of their 3 daughters, Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia.
I will take no further questions. Thank you. Then you bend your ass over right there by the stuffed animals and the pictures. Classy. If I was Whitney, I'd find some new people to speak on my behalf.
Tonight, the victim's family is giving new insight into Travis Decker's mental health struggles leading to the devastating discovery of his daughter's bodies. And Wenatchee police say they have new leads in their widespread search of rugged terrain. KOMO's Jackie Kent spoke with the family's attorney about how they're helping with this ongoing investigation. Jackie?
And Mary, as this community of Wenatchee continues to mourn these 3 girls, I'm going to step aside so you can see this growing memorial. The attorney for their mother, Whitney Decker, tells me they don't know where Travis could be at this point, but that they are working with law enforcement to provide cell phone records and any information that could help police find him. If you take a look at your screen, you'll see one new photo that police just released of Decker to show.
Now, not to speak about someone's physical appearance, physique, grooming or anything like that. But if you look at the thumbnail that I have up and the pictures we have seen of who we're looking for, he looks nothing like the man on the screen. This is a big downfall. Look at him now.
His distinct tattoos in hopes the public might be able to spot him. Wenatchee police tell us they've gathered new information.
Yeah, look at that. This is him now, okay? Recently. All right? Look at this spiral. Look at him before. Whoa. Yeah, of course Whitney was concerned.
That police just released of Decker to show his Army Rangers known mental health problems, including PTSD and borderline personality disorder. Still, she says Whitney never questioned his ability to care for their kids.
No one believed that Travis was ever capable of this. He was a loving father. He did love those girls.
Okay, this is interesting. Okay, Virginia Woolf said they will find him within a month. Let's start a poll. We'll do an unofficial poll unless you want to put up an actual poll. How long do you think it's going to take them to find him? Now, my husband said about a week and a half. He won't put money on it, and I would love for him to, because see, I keep up on the news and he doesn't, and I could win the bet, and I've got no problem keeping his money. How long do you think it's going to take to find him? I have a question real quick. Was he on drugs? Quite the opposite. He refused to take his prescribed medication. All the drug tests given at court, he passed with flying colors. That's how they knew, because there was nothing in his system at all. So we're talking about something that's scarier than someone on drugs, and that's a sober person that cracks. Jinbug says 2 to 3 weeks. Preschool Granny said they'll find him by the end of the weekend.
His behavior really hadn't changed that much with Whitney. But when she started hearing after they all went missing, some of the red flag
qualifications for those alerts. At the time, State Patrol says there was no suspicion of an abduction. Back out here live, the outpouring of support continues for Whitney and the family, both at the memorial and through an online donation site that so far is nearing close to $900,000. I'll send it back to you.
Jackie, have police narrowed down their search area tonight, or have they given any more specifics about possible new leads?
No specifics at this point. Unfortunately, we know they continue their search on the ground and by air near Leavenworth, which is about 45 minutes from here. The past couple of nights, Mary, we were here when State Patrol and Wenatchee Police also held press conferences with their search updates. And tonight they say they're not planning to hold another one of those. So we continue to check in, and we'll let you know as soon as we learn anything more specific.
Jackie, thank you.
Okay, hold on. Alicia P. said, I heard Justin saying that, and I was mad because he's not getting his info from true sources. Whitney has stated what his visitations were. They were all unsupervised. You're exactly right, Alicia P., and there's no reason for Whitney to lie. She would never send her children out last Friday if it was court ordered for it to be supervised. People need to quit that. These unofficial sources, hey, it's one thing to say this is what I heard. Don't state it as a fact. And again, since we're talking about not facts, this is someone's opinion. This is Derek Van Shant, master's in forensic psychology, and he is breaking down the mind of Travis Decker. I found it to be extremely interesting. Extremely. Again, Not that any of his miswiring excuses what he did to beautiful little Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia. But of course, we have a whole behavioral analysis unit that analyzes these sick tickets to figure out what happened. And, possibly when they see things like this, they can diagnose better. I don't know.
May 30th, when 32-year-old Travis Decker curiously did not bring his 3 young daughters back from a planned visitation, the girl's mother called police.
Girls were reported.
Hey, who's that guy that used to write for Saturday Night Live? What's his name? Shoot. Super funny guy. John. He looks like him. I'll think of it in a second. He looks like him.
Reported missing Friday night.
Travis was a homeless Army veteran who was living out of his white 2017 GMC Sierra in Washington State.
Those girls were spending time with their father as part of court-ordered visitation, though according to court records, their father had been homeless, was not supposed to have any overnight visits, and was also experiencing mental health issues.
Travis was pending disciplinary action because he...
John Mulaney. That's who I'm thinking of. Hold on. I'll put his picture up. Don't they look alike? John Mulaney and this guy? Isn't that crazy? Huh. Yeah, to me they do. Anyway. And no, I shouldn't be bringing up other creators. I just think in a case like this, when certain creators who are known for saying things that are disrespectful to the case, they lie, they run with rumors as fact. Sometimes I do call them out. Just Me said, Brooks, I can't take you anywhere. I actually made this for Susan because she knows what happens when I mention other creators on here or I call them out for something. They will get pissed and they will do, sometimes they'll do a whole fucking show talking about what a twat I am. I've been called that. Remember the twat days, Kat? So anyway, I try not to do it. Alicia P. said, it's not true that was his first unsupervised visitation. No, it's not at all. The court documents are everywhere. It's easy to find the truth if you want to look for it.
Failed to attend mandatory Army National Guard drills, where the last drill he attended was about a year ago. After an extensive search by law enforcement for several days, on Monday, June 2nd, police finally found Travis's unoccupied truck near the Rock Island campground,
where they found Decker's truck with 2 bloody handprints on the back.
After searching that area, they sadly found the bodies of Peyton 9, Evelyn 8, and Olivia 5.
The bodies of all 3 girls were found about 75 to 100 yards away down an embankment.
I will say this, and I'm going to break a rule, and I'm going to talk about another, excuse me. I sneezed in your ear. I didn't mean to. Forgive me. I'm going to break a rule and talk about another creator. The only one that's allowed to spread misinformation is Daisy because it's hilarious. It is freaking hilarious, the shit she comes up with. Her medical advice alone should be its own show. When she sat there and was giving Candace advice on how to have a bowel movement, I about fell out the bed. I about fell out the bed. I was laughing so hard. And exactly, Jersey lady. The court documents available clearly show that the visits were unsupervised. Previously, they were supervised. But guess what? Somebody's on their best behavior. The girls are having fun. They want to see their daddy.
Investigators noted zip ties and plastic bags were scattered throughout the area.
Asphyxiation sadly appears to be the cause of death. However, they didn't find Travis and still can't find Travis.
The search for Travis Decker, the 32-year-old father now charged in the killings of his 3 young daughters, a federal, state, and local law enforcement are combing the woods east of Leavenworth.
From a forensic psychology criminal profile, Travis Decker appears to fit the psychological mold of a mission-oriented and emotionally disorganized offender, someone whose mental state unraveled under the weight of multiple destabilizing life events. As a now homeless former Army soldier facing a pending disciplinary charge for failing to attend National Guard drills for over a year, living out of his truck and
Okay, let's clear this up. I can put the court documents up. It's really okay. Alicia P. said at Fun to Ski. No, that was said also. But yesterday it was said that that was his first unsupervised visitation, and he did this. It was not his first unsupervised visitation. No. But it's okay. People get wrong information. I'm not going to sweat it. Because the main thing right now is getting justice for these girls and hopefully someday peace of mind for Whitney.
likely feeling powerless in a child custody dispute, Decker may have suffered a serious psychological break. This apparent military dishonorable discharge process possibly represented not just a professional consequence, but a symbolic severing of his last structured identity, further destabilizing his sense of control. His decision to apparently and sadly murder his 3 young daughters likely was his last source of emotional connection and perceived control or revenge. This suggests a lethal convergence of despair, distorted thinking, and an urgent need to assert dominance over what appeared to be a collapsing life.
Court documents reveal Decker was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and was supposed to get mental health treatment and anger management according to a court-ordered plan, but hadn't.
Travis was apparently diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, BPD, which is marked by emotional instability, intense fear of abandonment, impulsive behavior, and identity disturbance. In the context of a perceived loss, such as his reduced custody of his children,
court documents obtained by King 5 from the Chelan County Superior Court show the Deckers had fought over the custody of their 3 children.
This disorder may contribute to driving an individual to tragic extremes.
We spoke about this earlier on the show. Again, he's putting up court documents, so I don't know why anyone's confused. I mean, hell, I went cross-eyed reading through them. But if he really has this PTSD, I guarantee he has because he was in Afghanistan. That goes without saying. Hell, I've got PTSD just from the last time I went to the DMV or the last time I went to Walmart. You can imagine getting it from Afghanistan. But what his buddies in his unit were saying, and it's a lot of people do lead somewhat of a double life. It's like your work people know you this way, but your friends and family know you a different way. You know what I mean? Especially in the military. I was thinking about that. So when he's getting document after document after document after document saying, you can see your daughters. I was corrected. That's right, Genbug. It's the Walmarts. I always forget to say that. Praise Daisy. So when you think you have everything under control, and I'm not a man, maybe a man in here can help me. No crazy men, though. Is Rapper up? When you're getting document after document after document after document, saying you can only see your daughters at the McDonald's playground for 30 minutes and we're going to have people watching you. He honestly could have just played nice for the last couple years, few months, and started premeditating what he wanted to do to get back at him. He's not working with the full deck, dudes.
claims. Untreated BPD, as it appears to be the case here, coupled with feelings of rejection, may have contributed to his lethal actions and now fuels his instability while on the run. His psychological profile includes potential for impulsive decision-making, suicidal ideation, and rage responses, making him highly unpredictable. Court records reflect a clear escalation in Deckard's behavior, with his ex-wife reporting multiple disturbing outbursts, including forced entry into her home.
Whitney did not want to cut off Travis completely, though, and did want her girls to have a relationship with their father. The documents noted several concerns. She voiced issues with the girls sleeping at the National Guard Armory unit, surrounded by unknown men. In one case, he allegedly hitchhiked to her home and asked to take the girls. Whitney wrote these incidents made her want to change the parenting plan, and that plan did not allow overnight visits. On Friday, he was only supposed to have the girls for 3 hours.
These episodes seem to have foreshadowed the unraveling of Deckard's control and may have signaled a looming break.
I actually spoke with one of his buddies who was actually, in fact, his neighbor while they were stationed in Italy back in 2016 to 2018. And he says that his mental health was already a wreck, that he'd only sleep just a few hours a night because PTSD would keep him up at night.
Additionally, as an Army soldier, Deckard appeared to have been living with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, which is a condition that is common among veterans exposed to chronic stress, combat, or high-threat environments. PTSD can intensify emotional reactivity, hypervigilance, and distorted threat perception, especially when compounded by a personality disorder like BPD. If Travis Deckard was experiencing both disorders simultaneously, the result could be a volatile mental state, marked by disorganized thinking, emotional collapse, and a heightened likelihood of violent behavior under perceived threat or loss. With what appears to be the absence of prior violence against his victims,
The girl's mother said Deckard was homeless, but records show no one was concerned about.
This is a great question from my husband. Did he actually see combat? I can't answer that. I can't find anything to verify it. I can guess. There's nothing in the court documents. However, they already said that he didn't make it through Ranger School. Whitney said he did. Do you think he might have lied to Whitney? He had to have come across something in Afghanistan.
About violence, and that the kids had always looked forward to spending time with their dad.
Speaks volumes about the psychological dynamics that often underlie family annihilators. It suggests that the violence was not impulsive, but cognitively compartmentalized, planned internally, perhaps over time, but concealed from the outside world. Individuals like Travis may appear to the outside world as calm and composed, while quietly unraveling beneath the surface, especially when trained to suppress emotion, as often the case in military culture. For someone with borderline combined with PTSD, a major emotional collapse can occur suddenly and decisively, especially when triggered by abandonment or identity loss, both of which seem to be occurring in his life simultaneously. Physically, Travis Deckard is 5 foot 8 inches, which is about average height for a male here in the United States. 190 pounds. He has black hair, and many describe him as tying it in a ponytail. He also has brown eyes. He was last seen wearing a light-colored shirt and dark shorts, though that's likely to have changed. His military background includes advanced infantry and survival training, which makes him highly skilled at living off of the land and avoiding detection. Also, because he's military, he has access and has been trained on various types of weaponry. His use of zip ties, pre-crime scouting off the road, and a remote location all point to clear premeditation. Cell phone data and flock surveillance using his truck's license plate confirmed he traveled to and from the area near Rock Island Campground prior to the murders, suggesting he had already selected the site before picking up the girls.
Investigators say that Travis scouted out the location where the girls were found the day before he actually picked them up.
Curiously, police found a bloody handprint on his vehicle. Police are still trying to figure out what that exactly means, but it could mean that he tried to do something to himself, but then decided to go on the run instead. As you likely know, it's very common for fugitives to retreat to areas they know well. However, Travis's military training may allow him to feel much more comfortable moving tactically through unfamiliar, rugged terrain. Therefore, he may be intentionally avoiding predictable locations and instead using backcountry trails, abandoned cabins, or unmonitored campsites across rural Washington state. His survival skills he likely ascertained from the military make him far more comfortable than the average.
Now, according to his father, his survival skills come from his upbringing, but of course, the cherry on the top of the cake was his military training. Now, let's go through what the sheriff has said, what they are using to find him. They're on horseback. They have canines, scent dogs, heat-seeking drones, helicopters, U.S. Marshals, FBI. They have an intelligence team. They're going through his financials. By now, they already know his military record. That's the reason, they have brought in the, FBI behavioral science team to say this is probably what he's thinking. And then they have military experts saying this is how he was trained. This is probably what he's doing. Either way, he's responsible, according to them.
Curiously, police found a bloody handprint on his vehicle. Police are still trying to figure out what that exactly means, but it could mean that he tried to do something to himself, but then decided to go on the run instead. As you likely know, it's very common for fugitives to retreat to areas they know well. However, Travis's military training may allow him to feel much more comfortable moving tactically through unfamiliar, rugged terrain. Therefore, he may be intentionally avoiding predictable locations and instead using backcountry trails, abandoned cabins, or unmonitored campsites across rural Washington state. His survival skills he likely ascertained from the military make him far more comfortable than the average person in harsh and isolated conditions, allowing him to exploit terrain with natural concealment, limited surveillance, and multiple escape routes. It's also very possible that Travis Decker is no longer alive.
We are unsure if Mr. Decker is currently alive, but we are taking it that he is still out there. And again, we will not rest until we've located him, whether he's alive or he's dead. We want to make sure that he's brought back.
Family annihilators, particularly those with borderline traits or psychological collapse, often die by suicide shortly after the act, frequently near the crime scene as a form of emotional closure or symbolic surrender. However, since Travis does not appear to be nearby because otherwise they would have found him, this suggests he may have shifted from emotional collapse to what is called a goal-directed survival mode, choosing flight at least temporarily over self-destruction. This behavioral pivot implies that his military training and trauma response systems may have overridden any initial suicidal ideation, making him harder to locate and potentially more dangerous as time goes on. This is because he starts to become more and more vested in his chosen path of evasion. Travis Decker should be considered armed, trained, and extremely dangerous. He possesses not only the skills to evade capture, but also a psychological profile marked by emotional volatility, survival instincts, and mission-driven thinking. His unraveling mental state, combined with his highly emotional thinking because of his BPD, may eventually lead to mistakes. But until he's captured, he remains a serious threat to law enforcement, the public, people he may know, and possibly to himself.
Possibly to Whitney. They're telling people in this certain area where they've got all the roads and everything blocked off. We heard it earlier in the show. They said, lock your doors, lock your windows, because he is in survival mode right now.
Which together is a profoundly dangerous combination. There is now a $20,000 reward for information leading to Travis Decker's arrest. If you believe you spotted him, call police immediately. So don't approach him, just call it in and get your reward. Give this video a thumbs up so there's...
And it's very rare when they're looking for someone at this magnitude, and they're telling people, lock your doors, lock your windows. If you happen to see somebody with black hair in a greaseback ponytail, do not approach him. Do not talk to him. Just call 911. Cat OG said, where's Dog the Bounty Hunter at? I would like to know too. Where's JLR? Oh, JLR's covering the P. Diddy trial. Woo! This is insane. And I don't know. I probably should have put a poll up. Again, how long do you think this is going to go on? How long do you think this is going to go on? I think the question is, Alicia said, his service in Afghanistan, Whitney's lawyer. Yeah, we knew he was in Afghanistan. As far as combat, as opposed to tours, I don't know. He did tours, but as far as combat, I don't know. They haven't really delved into that. At this point, does it really make a difference? I mean, to the public, it really shouldn't. But the only way it's going to make a difference is for the people trying to find him. Because if he was actually in combat, that's different than doing a tour. My kids have done tours in the military. They've never been in combat. So, you know, there is a difference. And we're just going to have to wait for those answers. But in the meantime, I mean, there is a, you know, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful woman who has lost everything. Her husband, her babies, her privacy. And so, you know, I've seen some crazy speculation lately about people that want to know what really happened. What really happened? As of today, we know what really happened. Travis picked the girls up last Friday, and he didn't bring them back because he had a devious, horrible, horrific plan. And a week later, he's still out there somewhere, and they can't find him. Well, I'll tell you what, you guys know where to always find me. 9 a.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday, unless I pop in for something else, or unless I have a tornado. I don't know. Always something going on around here. But thank you for being on the up and up with this case, because it is extremely important. It really is. Because there is, their words, not mine, a madman on the loose. All right? So if you are in that area, like they said, lock your doors, lock your windows. You guys are absolutely the best. I will see you maybe over the weekend. But of course, I'll be posting a lot and everything unless Facebook slams me for spamming. But if not, 9 a.m. Monday morning. Lots of stuff going on. Love you guys to the moon and back.